Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Nerd Herd Comic Book Club. Your number one stop for stellar reviews of volumes, arcs, or stories that us or yourselves choose. You can find us live every Wednesday on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch, and the replay on all podcast networks. Take a seat, get yourselves and your opinions ready, as it's time to join the herd. But first, please put your hands together for your hosts, Shane, Phil, Scott, and Martin, as they kick off this week's discussion.
Hello. You've tried the rest. Now it's time to try the best. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your main event of the evening. The Challenger. Do a Powerbomb. Image Comics 2022. Last year, it was written and drawn by Daniel Warren Johnson. Colors by our friend Mike Spicer. It collects issues 1 to 7. Letters by Russ Wooten, and that's it. You know these three guys created this masterpiece, which
was very underwhelming.
Was it?
That's it.
And that's it. Done. Okay. But I did have a big kind of a big thing to introduce. So here we go. Here are your challengers from the valleys, the Welsh warrior, the guy with the best shells on YouTube. It's Scott Shelf.
Hey, that was lush. Thank you very much.
And from parts unknown, because I forgot where he told me where he's from. He's blue. He loves speedsters. It's Martin from Sonic's Comics.
Evening all.
And from London town, he is the evil Quizler. He is Shane from Donna Comics.
Oh, hoi, that was awesome.
And
Go
I'm
on.
Phil. Hi, how are you?
No,
So-
oh come on, you didn't write yourself one.
Okay, I've got one. So as you know, last season, my first pick reigned supreme the whole season until I swooped in to cement that top spot. So I've got one for myself. The reigning, defending, undisputed champion of the leaderboard, Phil from Phil's Nerdyverse. How's that?
Boo that guy.
If you can't
That was
tell, I'm
good.
very much into the wrestling theme of this week. Do a Powerbomb. It's our first wrestling themed book, so it deserves everything it gets. Okay.
Are there many?
Are
there many wrestling themed books?
Surprisingly, no. There should be.
Surprisingly,
But there is a couple.
Yeah,
there is
I
a
say
couple.
that, yeah, but in the last 2 years, there's been quite a few. In Crimson Cage, there's a few one-shots that came out. So it was a good year for wrestling books in 2022. But the the chat's pumping. Is that the right word? Popping. Buzzing. So I'll get into a quick synopsis, and then we'll see who's in the chat, and then we'll get stuck into this timeless masterpiece of a book. So Lona Steelrose wants to be a pro wrestler, but she's living under the shadow of her mother, the best to ever do it. Everything changes when a wrestling-obsessed necromancer asks her to join the grandest pro wrestling tournament of all time, which is also the most dangerous. It's the wrestler meets Dragonball Z in a tale where the competitors get more than they ever bargained for. I just read this off the back of the book. I did not make that myself. So yeah, this is Do a Powerbomb. Oh, let's see who's in the chat. You're going to witness something special tonight. We've got Liam, the Funky Gibbons, Heidi Ho. We've got Kevin saying, welcome to WrestleMania. Sam, it's like evening all, great intro.
Good.
Stacey, evening chaps. Triple G. I'm not going to acknowledge that.
Wow.
Dr. Hoot, evening all. Okay, yes, what a start. Love it. Thanks, Pete. ALB0811, shall we skip the 16 minutes of chat and have Phil just pop it first on the list of a 10? Yes, we should. But we're here to entertain as best we can for the next 16 minutes or so.
This isn't like wrestling. This isn't going to be fake scored, is it? We're going to score this book for real.
No, you've got to dress up in a bikini and you've got to walk around with a scorecard, or just do that. Walk around with yeah.
That's boxing.
Yeah, but come on, I'm trying to keep in the. It's a joke. All right, okay.
Well, as you can, as you recall
Sorry.
from the book, whilst wrestling is scripted and predetermined, the necromancer who created this tournament wasn't to know that. He thought wrestling was real. So this is very much real. Shane, we're going to start with you because you've been teasing for the last few days in our chat. What do you like? What I don't know. I think you. I don't know. I'm torn. Start us off. Go ahead. Initial thoughts.
Initial thoughts. Okay, so I enjoyed issue 1. Great twist with the mother dying. I thought, yeah, I didn't see that coming. And then issue 2, I didn't see the Mortal Kombat style tournament happening with the otherworldly people. Great twist. Issue 3, her dad's the one that killed the mother. Great twist again. Issue 4, I kind of enjoyed. Issue 5, I enjoyed. And issue 6, I enjoyed. So, yeah, I enjoyed issues 1 to 6 very much.
Did you cry like I did for issue 7?
No, you're missing the joke, though. There are 7 issues.
Oh.
Issue 7. Garbage. It was hot. It was trash. It was trash. It was so bad. My eyes were rolling in the back of my head so hard that I spent more time looking at my brain than I did at issue 7. It was so bad. I was cringing. I was embarrassed for the writer of this book.
I know how you feel.
7.
I'm a bit embarrassed for you right now, Shane. Just joking. Why?
1 to 6. 1 to 6 are super fun. Issue 7 was just absolute garbage because it was just trash. It was just ridiculous, nonsensical, terrible ending, absolute trash. And of course, a book is only as good as its ending. So when you end like that, it just garbage. Like my notes just have issue 7, like just says trash, garbage ending. Like, I was just so angry. I even changed from blue to red for my final note for issue 7. It infuriated me that it was so bad. But yeah.
I wish I started out with somebody different.
Look, okay, so we kind of knew this was coming when in our little chat on WhatsApp, Shane went, "Who chose this book?"
Yeah. And
that was the bit that tipped us off going, "Oh, okay, we're in for it."
Oh, dear me. I've lost all my what's the word? All the hype I had, all the enthusiasm for this chat. Scott, bring me back. Come on, bring me back.
All right, buddy. This was a Daniel Warren Johnson book, and this was a very cool book. Yes, I never read a wrestling book. I never really watched wrestling at home, stuff like that. So I'm like, if you read the trade like I did, there's a forward in the front saying DWJ wasn't allowed to watch wrestling, so he kind of fell in love with this whilst trying to look after his baby girl who wouldn't fall asleep at 3 o'clock in the morning. So he just ended up watching this Japanese pro wrestling, and that was the inspiration for this book. But it was, all I knew was that it was a wrestling book, and I kind of had like, hints from people here and there over, between since it came out and now, that it's like, it's a bit emotional. And you see what happens in the very first 3 pages. Mum actually accidentally dies. You go, okay, that's going to be the thing that makes this story emotional. But then when it gets to the necromancer showing up, I'm like, oh, okay, this isn't what I expected. And it threw me off for a little bit because of what I was expecting. I thought it was just going to be just a normal wrestling, kind of story with some, I don't know, anime style action packed into it. I didn't think we'd be going into the realms of like supernatural, necromancer, different realms, different worlds, fighting a pair of orangutans, stuff like that. So it slowly gets more and more like far-fetched. But I think the fact that it has like a few teams from Earth, that way it keeps it grounded a little bit. And then I'm not hating on issue 7 as much as Shane is. I totally understand where Shane is coming from, but I'm a bit more forgiving. it was a bit like, oh, I know a guy who can bring your mum back to life. This guy really enjoys wrestling, and it can be 2v1. Just come up this lift with me. And as soon as it goes through like clouds, I'm like, no, don't. And then it got there, and
Brilliant.
it was a bit like, okay, here we go. And I was all for it. But then the thing that kind of like got me down the most was that there wasn't the happy ending, of bringing back, Luna's mum, Lona's mum, sorry, and that was the emotional bit. She wasn't being brought back, but she was there watching, but in a way, do we really want to have the same storyline every single time? Do we really want them to have the happy ending every single time? So I'm stuck between like being happy at the fact that mum wasn't brought back to life, but she was there to witness this whole thing. And then there was the whole thing about God.
I mean, I'm just going to highlight a comment here from Triple G, who picked Stray Dogs atop the leaderboard. He's saying far-fetched or stupid. It's a fine line. I mean, top of the leaderboard is a book about talking dogs.
The dogs don't talk English. They talk to each other, and we're just seeing it translated into English.
But we read it. Okay, we read it in English. Martin, save me again. Scott kind of brought me back up, but I know you'll bring me back. Come on.
See, I'm torn on this book. Oh my God, I am torn on it. I'm torn between if this is a great book or it's a bloody masterpiece. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. I'm sorry. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. I loved the start of this story. It hooked me from start to finish. Do you know what? It was ludicrous with God in issue 7. But I don't care. They were fighting bloody orangutans halfway through it. So, how much, where's the limit of the ludicrous? Yeah. It's fun. It's a fun read. It was about wrestling. Great family dynamics. I love the twist. Multiple twists. This for me was a page turner. I could not stop turning the page where usually I pick my favorite page as I'm going through the book because I would sort of like highlight certain ones. No, not this time. I literally went straight through the book. Couldn't believe I finished it when I finished it. Then I had to go back through it again and find my page. So for me, I loved it. That's my initial start.
It was also a non-stop page turner for me. I read it cover to cover in one hit, and I don't usually do that. Sometimes I don't have the time, but reading this, I was like, "Oh yeah, go on, next one, go on. Let's see where it's going now. Come on, let's go." And yeah, I've got to acknowledge the twists. Go on, Phil. You talk.
So I read it in single issues when it came out, month by month, and I was the same, Scott. Like when I first picked it up, I thought it's Daniel Warren Johnson and it's wrestling. I knew he was a big wrestling fan, so I'm going to get it. I didn't really think about what it was or what it could be. And then the first issue, you have this necromancer. I thought this is slightly odd, not what I expected at all. But then obviously, the next issue, it's fine. It's grand the way it kind of paints this picture of what's actually happening. I do want to highlight this. Steve has said wrestling is meant to be over the top, and this was that. If you're a wrestling fan, you will definitely 100% be on board with this. You can't not be, because yes, whilst they're fighting God, I'll give you an example. So, once upon a time, do you know who Vince McMahon is? The owner of WWE.
Is he the manager guy? Yeah.
He's the owner. He's the billionaire owner for WWE. Okay. So he used to be in the show quite a lot. And once upon a time, him and his son had a tag team match against Shawn Michaels and God. Legitimately.
No, he didn't.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Not legitimately.
Maybe he didn't, actually. But the storyline was literally the guy versus and God. And they had like the light coming down the ramp as if it was God coming into the ring. Like he literally had a fight in pay-per-view with God. So wrestling can be over the top, but could also be wonderful and entertaining. Quite a lot of folks here in the chat. I'm probably going to leave some comments. I'm going to try my best to catch up. Liam is saying the wrestler meets Dragon Ball Z. Couldn't be more accurate. This is just Dragon Ball Super, but in a wrestling format. God makes perfect sense when you look at it like that. I Got Liam. Liam always gives my books a 4, and he's defending this book. Come on, Liam.
I mean, Lee is a huge fan of Dragon Ball as well.
Nice. Yes, we've got another one. Dr. Fantasy Descent. It is 100% a masterpiece. And Pete, who holds the top spot, he's paid Shane off. He's gave Shane a few quid. Shane,
Someone has to be the heel tonight, don't they?
yeah. Oh, nice wrestling term.
Yeah.
Well done.
Oh,
And Sam said he loves the wrestling terminology in the book, and there's Shane with some there as well.
so I assume that Scott, Shane, you're not wrestling fans.
Oh, massive
It's not that I'm
wrestling fan.
not. It's not
Oh,
that
you
I'm
are?
not a wrestling
Okay.
fan. It's just I'm not against it. I'm just not for it. You know what I mean? I'm not going. Oh, I need to go watch wrestling. But like, if someone tells me, "Oh, I like wrestling," I'm like, "Cool, tell me about it."
Kev is also saying Daniel Warren Johnson, he loves wrestling, loves heavy metal, and he loves manga. And these are things he puts into his comments which he does. Murder-Falcon being another book of his. So this is the thing, like this was like a passion project of his. And yes, he was new to wrestling essentially in the last few years, but the fact that he loves it that much, I'm going to do this book. So all these things that, the way he writes his stories, I think there's a lot of love in his books. A lot of heartbreak, and whilst I understand we didn't get the ending of the bringing the mother back, we obviously got her memory completed, but the relationship of the dads fixed essentially, so this whole story was how her and her dad are now essentially healed together because they all know the truth, what happened. So yeah, but we'll get into the art because I know me and Scott definitely 100% love Daniel Warren Johnson's art. Martin, I think you're there too. Shane, you can and cannot be at times. Depends, I suppose, on the book. So I'll go back to Shane. Where do you fall? Where does this book fall for you? Do you like this art or do you not? It's not Wonder Woman. It's not like another main character.
The artwork's great for this book, for this kind of story. It fits really well. Like the fight scenes are fantastic. The motion blur, the impacts of the punches and kicks are fantastic. Like my first page pick was going to be where Lona is getting punched in the face, like the first time you see her in the ring, and her cheek is like over there. I thought it was a great page. It works great for this story and for this kind of world that he's built.
I agree, and I actually find like the wrestling matches were really intense. Really fast paced, really intense, and obviously the art, that it's not the story doing that, it's the art, because all you've seen through it was little commentators' remarks, that's it. So the art was the story for most of the book, in my opinion. Martin, how do you feel about this art?
Yeah, I'm the same. With the wrestling matches, I felt like I was, I got into the matches as much as I would when I'm watching wrestling, because I am a wrestling fan. I'm from the Attitude Era, so I love wrestling, always have. And I just, with that art, it sold it for me. I didn't need any sort of, some dialogue to get through it. The pictures alone, the artwork sold the matches. It built the suspense. It, I felt the wins. I felt the hurts, the pains, the high flying moves. I felt all of them. They were brilliant. And I thought he nailed this.
Yeah, I agree. And you're getting the typical Daniel Warren Johnson style, of course, of all the sound effects and what he does best. And I've always really liked the way he just fits them in any way he can. If he draws the picture first, or the image first, and then just fits in like the chop or the boom or whatever. He fits it in. That's cool.
It wasn't over the top either.
As well. Sorry, Martin.
So it wasn't over the top either with the sound effects. It was quite well thought out.
Yeah, it fitted in. It wasn't out of place. Yeah, Scott, I know you're a fan of the sound effects.
Oh yeah, that was again a massive thing for me in this book. I don't know what it is about DWJ doing sound effects, but they just hit different than any other thing I read ever. But the art in general, this is brilliant for me. Right, I'm a big fan of comics, big fan of anime. This is the closest you're going to get me to reading a manga. I will not read a manga. I do not have the time to read a manga, as well as novels and comics and watch TV and do all this. So mangas are never going on my list. But this is the closest you'll ever get me to reading a manga because he does such a cool anime style, and I think my page pick kind of represents that in the panel that I'm going to be talking about. But the sound effects are so cool, and what I was noticing this time is that like one of the pages just said like crack, like a bone cracking or punch or whatever it was, but it was written so like thinly, and then we have like someone's falling over and there's like a big boom and it's written very thickly. And in this book, it made me realize that he is using like density to represent the pitch of a sound. And once I realized that, I was like, this is cool. Like Daniel Warren Johnson nails sound effects, and I don't think there is he is atop of my list. He is. I can't think of anyone that could or does beat him.
I agree. Speaking of pages, we have been sent quite a lot from the folks who regularly tune in. So thanks very much, everyone, for those. We will get through them now as best we can. There is quite a lot, so let's get stuck in. I've tried to put ours four in order from what I remember from the book anyway.
Okay.
So I was first. Nope, that's not it. Yeah, I am first. Yeah. So this is one of the first. No, I'm not.
That's the final, mate.
That's a complete lie. Yes, I'm being daft. So this one was one of the first fights, and this is Martin's pick, and this is when they took on Orangabang. Is that what they're called?
Yes.
I love that team name. On my notes, it's the best team name ever.
And there were quite a few great ones. Kevin also picked this page as well.
Yeah,
Martin.
I've got Kev's description here.
Go ahead.
I'll go through Kev's first.
Yep.
Kev said, "This is my page pick. Every page in this book is stunning, but I went with this one. I like how time seems to slow down as Luna flips through the air, giving us time to see the reaction on characters and the crowd's faces. He has spotted Murder-Falcon, DJW himself, or DWJ himself, and some of the extremity characters in the crowd," which obviously books we've read before.
No way.
I did not know this, but that guy in the check shirt and the beard must be Daniel Warren Johnson on the left-hand side. That must be him with the glasses. Where's Murder-Falcon? Is just below him in the orange t-shirt? I don't know.
I haven't read Murder-Falcon, but I can't. But then Kev carries on and says, "And then when she body slams the organ, can't remember the guy, SWJ really sells the impact with all the vibration and the speed lines."
Yeah.
So that's Kev's artistic opinion on the page.
For anyone looking at this page, Murder-Falcon is on the very right,
Yes, yeah.
above that guy's fist. That's Murder-Falcon there.
Oh yeah.
What
And
a great spot. Well done, Kev.
yeah,
See,
well done, Kevin.
I
That's Martin 2 points in this book. Can we give it a 12?
So I didn't go in as depth as Kev when analysing this page. I picked this page mainly because I think this was the moment where her dad really truly accepted that she has got skill, because she sort of took control of this first fight and he was just standing on the sidelines watching her win this match. And I think it was just a realisation moment. I just think this had so much impact. And this was that scene.
This is where he started off in the ring. He didn't want her to go in. He thought he could do everything and keep her on the sidelines, so to speak. And when he realized, no, I can't do this alone. I'm going to need her. And then you're right, this move and her taking the 1, 2, 3. It's so dramatic, by the way. The countdowns are so dramatic. Even the near falls when they didn't quite get the full pin and stuff. So great. But yeah, I'm a big fan. Oh, a good spot, Kevin. I'm gonna go back and look at this again because, you know.
So does this make us like a shared universe now?
The Daniel Warren Johnson universe. Are Transformers going to be in this? Well, this is the thing. Like, it's an otherworldly event.
Yeah.
You know, people all over. So 100%, you're right.
DWJ first.
Yeah. Optimus Prime versus Cobra Sun. Next year.
I'm in. As long as the turtles don't get another crossover.
It's only a matter of time.
Too many.
Or Batman.
Stupid Batman.
So then we go into Scott, your page. This is against the Knights of Rin. Rhine.
The Knights of Rind, I think it was, or Rhine, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god, this is like anime in a panel, isn't it?
Yeah.
That biggest panel there, the angle there is so amazing. Just to show like the depth. If anyone watches, I don't know, My Hero Academia, Fire Force, any other of those like proper like punchy fighty animes, it just takes me back to watching those. It's just this, you got the speed lines, you got the speed lines and the depth and just the pure like force of it. It looks amazing. This isn't a page pick, this is a panel pick. And I'm picking it for that panel, and it's that's all. It just took me away. I loved it, and I wanted more of that. There is a couple instances like this, but this one for me was the best one.
It's really cool. You're right. There's a massive anime feel with this.
Mhm.
I haven't watched or read any of the stuff you referred to, of course, but I do appreciate. Yeah, so cool. Now I've obviously messed up. I don't know what comes next. Mine or Shane's. Shane, yours is the final, isn't it?
No,
Final
mine
fight.
was from issue 2.
Okay.
Mine should have been the first one.
Forget what I said. Here is Shane's page.
This is when Lona goes to find Cobra Sun, and he's sort of degrading himself in no holds bars fights. You know, he's got like light bulbs and forks and chairs and tables and everything. So he's just like, you don't know why. You know he feels guilty because he's killed Lona's mother, but at this point we don't know it's her dad. So like you just see that he's so guilty that he's just punishing himself every night in the ring. And I just thought that center panel there just looks fantastic. The detail in that, like his body, the ripples, the blood, the wounds, the glass, the forks, everything just in him just looks fantastic, and it just looks brutal. And I know Phil doesn't like a brutal page, but I had to pick this.
No, with context. You know, it's not I don't like blood and guts and gore. I do, but just not people killing their wives and chopping her up.
It's just Hotel we don't like.
Yeah.
It's just that one book that we don't like.
Well, my page was from the final, and again, there's so many pages that we've all picked, and there's more to come from some of our viewers that show the actual fight. But I wanted to show a page that has so much detail in like the arena and everything set up, because he doesn't hold back on his detail. Even ones of like in Lona's bedroom, you know, typical teenager or young girl, whatever, with a messy room with toys and stuff. He puts a lot of stuff in the background. I wish I'd spotted Murder-Falcon and DWJ himself. But you know, we've got the spotlights, the ladders, the tables, the chairs, the light bulbs, the cameraman, even pick up the cables, you know, the crowd, and I just love like the amount of detail he puts into it, because for this being the final fight, it's building up that kind of suspense for the reader as well. And yeah, I'm a big fan of his art in general, but I just love the fact that it's almost like he draws the page and can't stop himself putting more in. Do you know what I mean? But it's not like it's too much. It comes a certain point where he goes, okay, I will stop here, but he pushes that boundary, so to speak, you know. And I am, big fan of his work. I mean, it has some pinks and purples here too, so it's, you know, I was always going to pick it. So yeah, I actually my actual first pick was the one that Steve sent in. So we have some pages from viewers, and Steve, he's on Instagram, he picked Daredevil No Fear last week, and he does say, Martin, doesn't he have a comment to make?
He says, who doesn't love a training montage, which I totally agree with him.
Yeah.
Pretty much had Rocky playing in my head looking at this page, and that's so true. Every montage you get Rocky vibes from. A bit of eye of the tiger in you.
Another montage. It says at the top. It's the second one.
That's why I was going to pick it, because he uses the sound effects for like literally like not just obviously in the story, but like for the reader, another montage, and then music kicks in, and it's like, oh yeah, so cool. I get gushed by this art all the time. Andy sent one in, and he did. This is so cool.
Yeah, this was going to be my bonus pick, so I'm glad if I'm glad that Andy did pick it. He just picks his page. He hasn't given a reason why. He just, this is just the page he wanted to pick. And we can all figure out why. The colors are really cool on it. It really pops. I love that tournament table. They've all got their own kind of font for their team names. I think that's really cool. And I even love the little, like, the little facts, like what planet they're from and what's their finishing move.
Yeah, I love the ones from. Is it your mum's basement?
The
the
devil
team
doers,
at the end. They're from your mum's basement.
So good.
That's the
this
thing.
page
Like,
really pops out.
you're getting kind of like a fight game, like Street Fighter or something vibes, aren't you? But really colorful. And I think all the character designs, including the orangutans or orangabang, they're all really cool. Yeah.
Nexel and PE.
Yeah. Just before we move on to the next page, did you notice that? Well, I'm sure you noticed it. In some of the fight scenes, they all had like a special effect. Like Pizza Party had like a pizza.
Yeah.
And then for the move that the Steel and Sun had done was a sword, and it shows you the sword as well at the same time. Yeah, I thought all those effects were really cool.
You had King Arthur's table.
Yeah,
big table.
That's right,
you had the Midas coin pouch. You had coins falling out of a little coin pouch. Yeah, really good. And it really helped with figuring out. It's kind of like looking at like your horoscope, or like star signs, that kind of thing. Going like, okay, this is that. How the hell did you get that picture out of those stars by there? And it's kind of like that, like seeing their movement and then having a little picture next to it kind of represent it. You kind of go, oh, okay, I get it.
It's like as well, if this was like a video game and you're doing your finishing maneuver, like the finish him move, the big move that ends it all, you would get something like that flash up on the screen, wouldn't you? I'm thinking Mortal Kombat, they do a lot of stuff like that, don't they? Where things would flash up.
Yeah.
And yeah, I thought it was really cool. Sam, who's a big fan of this book, he sent us 3 pages, so we show them all. So we show us all 3.
Up to you, mate.
We'll go through them all.
All right, we'll do them quick.
Did he give reasons?
He's just explaining to me like what these pages are. So he says this was the moment that the reader found out the identity of Cobra Sun. And yes, this was a big like, when I turned this page and saw this. And I'm hoping the rest of you were just as shocked as I was.
Wasn't expecting it.
No. The next one, he just said that this tombstone pile driver looked awesome. The artwork on that looked brilliant. Yeah.
And his broken neck.
I felt that.
And then you have the final page, which he has said was a real tear jerker, seeing her mum in the crowd.
Shane, did you not cry? I welled up at this part of the story.
I got a bit like, oh no.
Yeah.
Shane, are you scared inside?
No, it's just the thing is, like, because this book was so twisty and turny. Okay, so you're like, the mother dies in issue 1 because you think she's going to be the star, and then issue 2, you're like, oh, it's actually more like Mortal Kombat because they're going to be fighting people from different worlds or whatever. So okay, I'm down for that. Then issue 3, you're like, oh my god, her dad killed her mum. You're like, this is twist after twist after twist. So now you're thinking, there's a necromancer. He's told her you can bring someone back if you win the tournament. Okay, she's going to team up with the guy who killed her mum. She's obviously going to find out that that's her dad at some point. When is she going to find out? You're thinking to yourself, right, in the final battle, you're thinking he's going to die. In the final battle, she's going to take his mask off, realize what he's done for her this whole time, and she's going to use that 1-3 1-up to bring her dad back rather than her mum. So you're thinking, there's going to be more twists. And then the last issue just decides to slap you in the face and go, we don't know how to end it. So here's God and a memory. Bye. And I'm like, I don't care.
The memory was nice. The memory was nice. It was sort of, just added.
I'll tell you what, you fight me. And if you win, I'll bring someone back from the dead. Oh, actually, no, I'm not going to do that. Here's one of your own memories.
But they didn't win.
They didn't win.
They didn't win. If they had a beat God, they would have brought her back.
Nah.
Anyway, So
Wasn't
some
feeling
comments,
that final
some
issue.
comments here. Dr. Von Houten, don't lumber Powerbomb with that trash angle. I think he's referring to the Vince McMahon versus God angle.
Yeah.
Sam saying every page could have made the cut, and like genuinely, I think you could have easily picked pretty much every page. They're all pretty great.
Yeah.
Some great picks there. The DWJZU doesn't roll off the tongue the same. Yeah,
The dude coup.
yeah. I love the fisheye lens perspective he uses for that middle panel. Is that your one? Your pick, Scott, possibly? That he's referring to?
Maybe.
So many pages.
Yeah, so many
don't really
pages.
point.
And Shane, you're out of your mind. Yes, I think I'm hoping that's for Shane because I mean,
It's
he
got to be for Shane.
obviously read this book wrong. He needs to go back and read this again.
I need to read it with my eyes closed next time.
Good
God.
We definitely need a segment on this show called like Shane's Rewrites. And we just have like 30 seconds of Shane saying, "This is how I would redo the book."
Just the last issue. Issue 1 to 6 was fantastic.
You can't rewrite a masterpiece. It's perfect as it is.
See,
Well, you wouldn't need to rewrite it if it was a masterpiece.
I did think that her dad was going to die, and
Yeah,
she was going to bring him back. I did think that at one point, but yeah, it did throw me off with the God entry, but it didn't steer me off my path of enjoying it. I thought,
It just kind of made like 80s punk rock Rick Sanchez a bit pointless in the movie, in the comic. Like you should have just made God the guy that started the whole tournament to begin with. You know?
I love that analogy. 80s punk rock Rick Sanchez. Oh, love it.
Deflated again. Once again, I'm deflated.
Don't feel deflated. It was a good book. I really enjoyed it.
This was a great book. Like I'm so on the fence about the ending, and I don't know if I'm happy with it or not. Like, would I have rather them to beat God and get their mother back to get the happy ending that I was expecting and wanting, or am I happy with the fact that DWJ had the balls to not do that and leave us kind of going, oh, they didn't get the mum back, but they've kind of rekindled their own relationship, and the mum was there watching that fight all along to see how, you know, proud she is, and we saw how proud she was of her daughter.
I like the way it ended. I like the way it ended because if you didn't have that scene where it was in heaven, let's just say, yeah, in heaven, you wouldn't have seen the mum, because then you wouldn't have had that arc, you know, with the father and daughter making amends.
Yeah.
You know, so that part was a little bit justified, but I'm glad in one way they didn't bring the mum back, because it would just, we've been told the ending at the start of the book near enough. It would have just been obvious.
I agree. I didn't want the mum to come back. I'm glad she didn't. Like I say, for me, the main thing is the father-daughter relationship has been repaired in terms of she was, I don't want to say she was stroppy. She obviously held something against her dad because her dad didn't want her to wrestle, and she's living this kind of life in secret, trying to be this wrestler, and her dad's also trying to hold her back from that. It's him realizing just how good she is and how capable she is to do this, probably even better than her mum, which is superb. And then, of course, his guilt, as she had mentioned, like, you know, and this is actually a thing wrestlers do as they get older. They get a bit slower. They can't do the same things. They do tend to turn like hardcore matches and get the tacks out and the ladders and the forks, and they bleed a lot and their bodies are all scarred and stuff, just like the movie The Wrestler. And he's obviously going through all this because he just feels incredibly guilty, not just because he killed his partner. I don't know if they're married. I'm not sure if they're married or not, but killed his partner and the mother of his child, but also that he done it in the first place. It could be anybody. He'd still feel guilty. Plus the fact that he's keeping this from his own kid, you know, and this is all being repaired through this tournament. That's the beauty for me in this. That's the heartwarming moment.
You are seeing them get closer and closer every time.
Yeah.
And it would have been a bit more impactful if he had died and she brought him back with the one life.
I would have really liked that.
Yeah, that would have been like her forgiving him and also realizing he's still there and she needs him. And, letting her mum go, it would have been more impactful than just, "Hi, Mum. Oh, thanks for watching. Bye." It's like,
But she doesn't know she's there.
Yeah.
No.
then don't show us. Why do I care if she's there? Doesn't impact me.
Everyone else seems
Just-
to
It
have
just
welled
shows
up.
that it
You
shows
okay?
that she's seen it.
Sam is saying there's
Shame.
some major heel promos tonight. Shane, you're definitely the heel of this discussion tonight. Dr. Van Hout, it's a masterful meditation. Is that right? On dealing with grief. And
That's
Kevin,
really good. I like that one a lot. What he said
This
there.
one? Yeah.
I didn't pick up on that myself, but reading that, I'm like, yeah, that's a really good take on it.
For both father and daughter. Yeah. And the uncle
yeah.
too. Uncle Blood.
Uncle
Like,
Blood, yeah.
He was in the tournament too, trying to do what he can to bring the sister back. He's grieving. And Kevin, I felt the point that the father-daughter relationship was fixed. I agree. And Funky Gibbons is saying Goku doesn't beat God first time. He trains, comebacks, and then beats God. So how it ended is perfect. Well,
This isn't
Phil
Dragon
needs-
Ball Z.
Phil
You
needs
do a
him.
powerbomb again.
No.
The wrestler meets Dragon Balls. It's in the synopsis in the back of the book.
Yeah. So when we see the sequel, do another powerbomb.
Yeah.
God
They'll-
better
they'll-
watch out.
They'll be. Yeah.
But I have just came to the realization that for the amount of times ALB0811 has been in our chat, I didn't realize who it was, but now I do. It must be Andy. Forgot to give a
Yes.
reason, but all you said why I picked it anyway. Just a great display of creativity. I didn't know that, so now I do. That's good. Right. Okay. We'll talk
Can
about
I
the
just say one
creativity.
thing
Okay. go ahead.
before? Did nobody upload any variant covers? Because there's a Spawn variant cover.
Mate,
It's
yeah.
fantastic.
We do.
We got
We
the
have-
variants. I've hooked you up.
We have 8 variants.
No,
Right,
there are
right,
5, but I
5.
picked 5 of the 8.
Okay.
And
Okay,
I
so
numbered
I'll
them so I
one.
can.
Let's do them in this order.
Yeah. This is from James Harron.
Oh, so cool though.
Very good, very moody. This one is from Ricardo Lopez Ortiz.
That's
And
cool.
it's just Cobra Sun there holding all the light bulbs.
And the chair with the blood spot
And the
on it.
chair, yeah, and some barbed wire bat behind him. Yeah, really cool.
I tried to get this one, but couldn't get it anywhere.
This one is from Jake Smith.
Yeah.
Tell me that's not Rick Sanchez. Tell me that's not Rick Sanchez up there.
I don't know who Rick Sanchez is.
Rick and Morty.
Oh, who watches Rick and Morty? Dweebs.
Don't you dare. Don't you start. I'll back
That's
you
right.
on this. Don't you turn on Rick and Morty.
Show another chat. Show another chat.
I've never once ever watched an episode of Rick and Morty, so I can't possibly comment. Who's
You
this?
didn't grab the Spawn variant.
Mate, wait there. This is
I thought-
from Matthias Bergara.
See, I like this.
This is
This
my
is cool.
favorite one.
It's like
This
a
is
Peach
cool.
Momoko-esque, isn't it? Kind of like
Yes. Yeah.
It's really
Yeah.
cool.
That's my favorite.
I got a lot. So this better be the Spawn one or Shane's gonna riot. Oh, there we go.
There we go. And I think this is a DWJ cover, colors by Mike Spicer.
I want this cover.
It's
I love
probably
it that
150
he's even-
or something. It's
He's
gonna be
even
hard to
got Wanda tattooed across his chest.
get. Yeah,
Love it. I need this.
it's gonna be really hard to
It is.
get though. I'd imagine.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, as long as it's not the cover for issue 7, I might pick it up.
It is. It's issue 7, cover C.
Oh, never mind. I don't want it.
Oh, I do.
The last 2 were both issue 7.
Yeah,
it's a
Shane,
cool
you know you
cover.
want to. You know you want to. So yeah, in terms of creativity, like Andy mentioned there for his page pick, like we mentioned the names, they were all great. The finishing moves were all great. I think that's where Daniel Warren Johnson thrives in his books and like it's his creativity of what he kind of what he does, like what his ideas, and he puts on the page, he draws them, he whatever. Do you not think this is maybe one of his better ones for that? Okay, I haven't read Murder-Falcon yet, but I imagine this is quite similar in terms of he's putting his music love into that, and he's putting his wrestling love into this. Like he is creative enough to do all these things. Agree?
What
I
else have
agree.
we read? Like,
Extremity.
yeah,
And
Wonder
for me,
Woman, Dead Earth.
not Nerd Herd, we reread the Better A Bill stuff, which we loved.
Peter Ray Bill, Wonder Woman, Dead Earth. I think out of
No.
everything I've read there so far, this is my favorite one
Me too.
out of the DWJ stuff I've read, and I have Murder-Falcon on the shelf to read as well.
And is that due to the kind of like the freedom he has, the kind of creativity to do wild and wacky stuff, or
That's probably one of the most attractive things about DWJ as a creator is that, you know, yes, he has done some stuff for Marvel, and I don't know if he's done anything for DC, but the fact that he is, you know, spending his time creating these cool stories, and it feels like he's just backing himself because he's writing them, drawing them. He's not doing the letters though, is he? But he's doing the sound effects, and then Mike comes in, colors it in, done. You know, it's just him. Like, this is like, you know, you've got Brubaker and Sean Phillips, they do their stuff together, and then you've got DWJ and Mike Spicer, and you see those two like teams, and you have completely different things in your mind that they've created. They're both so different and contrasting, but they're amazing. But yeah, this stuff, DWJ and Mike Spicer, just fantastic team.
see, I've always wondered. I think we've mentioned this before in previous streams with Daniel Warren Johnson. The fact that he does draw and do all the sound effects and things. I imagine he would do the ink, and Mike Spicer just does the colors, so I think you must do the inks as well. But and Shane, I like Daniel Warren Johnson's writing style, even if he does bring in God. So I prefer him to write and draw his own books. I can't, like, for example, Jurassic League. He wrote Jurassic League, but he didn't draw it, and it wasn't the same. Didn't have the same kind of connection, you know, as a fan of his. So I prefer if he was to draw and write his own stories. But I can imagine the bigger he gets, the more sought after, and gets bigger books. He's not going to be able to do that, and I kind of worry from that aspect. Like, Daniel Warren Johnson's someone I'm going to follow. Like, I'm going to pick up Transformers.
It's kind of like Tom Taylor, isn't it?
Yeah, that's, you know, you can't do everything and do all the different books. At some point, you're going to have a point where you're going to, you know, drop a
Stretching
stinker,
too
so to
thin.
speak. You know, it's hard to kind of maintain that high level, and that's what I do worry about. But this has not happened in this book, despite what the guy over there says. He's got the evil eyebrow. Shane, let's talk positive. So you enjoyed the first 6 issues. Give us some positivity then.
It just, I was having such a good time. Like, I enjoy wrestling, and I had no prior knowledge going into this. So when I do have his name, it's not Rick Sanchez, it's Willard Necroton shows up, and he's like, "We're gonna do a big tournament with people from all over like the universe." I'm like, okay, I love Mortal Kombat and I love wrestling. So if you're gonna slam those two together, I'm here. I'm going to have a good time. And I was really, really enjoying it. The art was great. The character designs were awesome. The team names, like I say, Orangabang for the 2 orangutans was fantastic. Like, I got a chuckle every time I saw that on screen. I always say screen, and obviously I do mean screen because I read this on my tablet, but on page is what I should have said. Every time I saw that, I smiled because I just thought that's really clever. And you felt bad for each team as they lost, because they all had a reason to be there. You know, the orangutan wanted to bring back his sister, and then you had the final 2 from FYSO. They each had someone to bring back, so they obviously were fighting for a reason. So you felt bad for them, because this wasn't just bad guys they were fighting, it was people that wanted to bring people back. So I was down for it, and I was really enjoying it. And then we came to the end of issue 6, and I just lost all interest.
Positivity. We're stopping here.
Yeah. Yes.
But to be fair, with that's one thing I liked about like the other competitors, the other opponents. Like, they weren't just bad guys. Like, these random big heavy dudes that they have to overcome. They all had their own reason. Even the Knights of the Rhine or whatever, like, they were like, it was their king wanted to bring back their warrior type of thing. You know, so they're kind of, he's even integrating Necroton's story into it. You know, because if they bring back this warrior, we can then topple him and kill him, so to speak. And like I say, the Orangabang had their sister, but they were really good about it. Like, they knew, you know, even in the bar, in the scene in the bar beforehand, they help them. It's like, well, we want you in tip-top shape. We want to beat you because we need to do this. And I love the fact that all the opponents had their reason, even the assholes and FYSO. You know, it's like, was it the comfort for her name? The woman had her daughter
Maggie,
and then the guy had somebody. Who was the guy they bring back? Totally forget.
didn't Frank want to bring back a son? Was it not
Yeah.
both their children? I think.
It was his daughter, wasn't it? And it was her son. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like young kids, and you start to think, okay, I understand them now. Like I feel bad for them. Then they go and kill each other, and then you kind of don't again because they're, you know, jackasses. But I mean,
that was the deal they made, because you could only bring one person back. So because they were tag team, they were like, we agreed if we won, we would fight each other to the death, so that one person gets to bring their child back. You know, so it then makes you feel even worse for the two of them because they've gone through all this together. There's only one prize.
Yeah, they've came close to bringing one of them back, and they couldn't do it. Yeah, I agree. But I was a big fan of this, to be honest. The pacing was great. I have to admit that. Scott mentioned, he read it cover to cover. Like, it was non-stop. I don't think there was ever a lull in this book. Up in course, God, I suppose. You agree, Scott? Never a lull?
Yes, I do agree. There was never a lull unless it was intended. Like you have a little scene where, what's her name? Ewa, isn't it? Ewa and Cobra-san, when they first kind of meet, and when she kind of scouts him, they have that little moment in the ramen restaurant or whatever it is, having a little drink, and then you've got the scenes where Ewa's in bed with Lona, talking to her before she goes to sleep and stuff like that. So yeah, but I didn't feel lulled, if that's what you're getting at. I didn't feel bored, but
yeah, I mean, there was no way she would have to get through to get to the next stage in the story. It was all very much.
There wasn't a slog. No, it wasn't like I didn't have to push through anything.
And another thing I really enjoyed was the flashbacks for everybody.
Yeah.
Including the uncle, including the dad, and obviously Lona herself, and the fact that it kind of fits in quite nicely. And even the flashbacks again for some of the other characters. Your one Maggie and stuff. Martin, are you a fan of that? Do you appreciate the flashbacks?
Yeah, I think they were needed as well, especially with the ending the way it was. Those flashbacks were crucial to that final ending scene. Because if you didn't get any of those flashbacks about her as a child, the ending wouldn't have made sense. But I did appreciate all the additional ones as well. Seeing her parents tag teaming together as well. It just added additional layers to these characters. It made me feel for these characters more and connect with them. I think this is why I enjoyed it so much, because it did the book. I thoroughly enjoyed it from start to finish, regardless of that man down there.
I don't want to take anyone's enjoyment away from this book. If you enjoyed it, I'm really happy.
I'm only messing with you.
Everyone that enjoyed this book, I was asked my opinion and I gave my opinion.
But
I would never want my opinion to stop anyone from reading this.
Yeah. Just catch up with some comments. Andy is asking, would love to know the inspiration where DWJ thought, let's put them against two big orangutans. I think
be the Clint Eastwood movie, Any Which Way But Loose.
Okay, if you say so.
Clyde, he's a fighter in that movie, isn't he?
I don't know. I've never seen it.
Am I showing my age?
Yes,
I think it may be. But again, as someone mentioned before in the chat, wrestling is over the top. So I think he's thought to himself, this go over the top. This make this a wrestling book, and this do things that you can't do for everyday comics. Sam is saying, having Uncle Blood join the tournament was a nice surprise. Give another team to root for. Shame they didn't draw each other. That would have been interesting. That would have been, to be fair. Like, at least it's kind of guarantees that somebody will go through in a way. But yeah, I like the fact that he showed up. He was just quite useless, but at the same time, he was there because the two beat him up, didn't they? It was the FISO beat him up. So that kind of made them like the villains, I suppose, really, of the story more. Liam is asking, and he's right. I will want to guess next week's book. Keeps popping up, but my brain cell isn't computing. Have you noticed Scott has put through we hint throughout the show every so often, and we are approaching the show's end. So if you do want to have a guess, get them in the chat. So, right, I think we're there. I think we're at the point now where we're ready to score, and I'm nervous. So, if you're in the chat, you've read along, give this a score. We'll take any score, no matter high, no matter low. We'll take them all, but just give us your scores, and we'll collate them of ours.
It's as if you're saying, like, sometimes we don't take them all.
No, I know, but I'm basically just saying, anyone in the chat, hint.
Yeah.
I'm worried about this score, so let's try and.
No, be honest.
I'm only joking. Just give me your honest, straight score. Right. Shane, give thoughts and scores.
Rip it off.
I've already said everything I have to say about this book, so I'm just going to give you my score. I'm going to give this 1 point for every issue I enjoyed. So this is a 6 from me.
Oh, it's a dagger through the heart. I'm trying so hard. 6 out of 10 from Shane. Scott, go ahead.
Hello. Yeah, I mean, DWJ is, and I will always say, a brilliant artist, a brilliant writer, a fantastic thinker. Really original with the stuff he comes up with. And you know what? Since we've been having this chat, and I said I was beating myself up about the ending, I think I am happier with the ending that we had over the expected ending, because then I think I would have had a bit less enjoyment out of it, and I probably wouldn't have had the welling up of emotions at the end. So yeah, I think I am happy the way it ended. Yeah, fantastic with doing sound effects. It was far-fetched, and I do have a little gripe with the whole God thing, but probably not too much. And I'm willing to kind of put that on the put that to the side. My gripes. Overall, this is so hard. I know people love this book, and I'm really trying not to let these other scores influence me at all. I have written down a score, and I'm teetering between 1 or 2. You know what? I'm going to go for an 8.5.
8.5 from Scott.
Yeah.
Got some in the chat already. This is, please get them in. I've got one from Pete as well. He texted me earlier on. That's a 12 out of 10 he gave me. Martin?
I've not been shy. I really enjoyed this book, despite certain bits that we've all touched upon. That a bit, the God is a bit far fetched. I do completely agree with that. But it didn't deter me from enjoying this book from start to finish. I want this in a deluxe hardcover. The second it comes for pre-order, I want it. I want it in oversized. The artwork was beautiful. The characters I really connected with. I felt like this was probably the fastest book I've read, not because it was a quick read, purely because I enjoyed it that much. I just burnt through it, and I'm quite a slow reader. So for me, this is probably one of my favorite indie books, and I can see why this is high up on people's lists. So I'm just going to go in. It's not perfect, but I'm going to give it a 9.
It's a 9 from Martin. Grand. So we have got some scores in the chat. This is your last chance. Get them in. To be fair, I'm torn on my score as well. I've said even before I picked this that this is my favorite read of 2022 at the time, at the end of last year. I thought it was superb. I am a big wrestling fan. I love the terminology. I love, even the spots, the matches, what they're doing is he's echoing that happens in wrestling, but doing it in such a big way that looks fantastic. Obviously, massive influence from like New Japan Pro Wrestling. I love the silliness of it. The ring a bang, it's terrific. Like the teams are terrific. I love the art. I can't fault the art in any way. I'm a fan. I like how this makes me feel. This book, this makes me feel something inside in here, you know. And I did well a couple of times. I'm not a big guy, but I'm a big soft at heart, really. It's oh man, I'm torn. Do you know what? I've loved it. I've loved picking it. And the reason why I'm torn, because I always said The Dark Knight Returns is my #1 book. This is challenging it. This is one I'm going to read 100%. I don't care. I'm going to read this every year. I've got all the singles. I've got the trade paperback. I'm going with the hardcover. This is one of the books I will read every year, along with Klaus and Dark Knight Returns and The Killing Joke. That's where it is for me. But I cried more at this than any other book. So I'm going with a 10. Don't at me. I'm not completely out of it because there's 10s here.
Yeah.
I'm going with a 10. That's what I'm going with. We have some scores in the chat. Pete, I know it's not here, but I got the text to prove it. Pete has given a 9 out of 10. He did say something about it. Bear with me. He was actually texting me throughout the show, laughing at me, thinking that Shane was working for him. But he was. I wasn't going to kind of take down stray dogs. But he has sent us a 9. Just says, yeah, he loved it. Great. Sam Taylor has given it a 10 as well. Dr. Fanhood, who I know is a big wrestling fan, give it 10 out of 10. Andy has given 9.5. Kevin has given it 9.5. The best modern comic. It literally is one of the best comics I've read. Modern comics in the last 5 years. Easy. And we have another one from Liam, which I don't think I had. He has 9.5. He says, I bloody love this book. Not the biggest wrestling fan, but I understand most references. And as previously mentioned, I love Dragon Ball Z. And like it or not, God makes perfect sense for both. I agree. The God thing doesn't... I'm actually surprised the God thing is a thing. Like, as a way not to like the book. I thought it was great. God wearing a mask. Muscular as hell. Beating the crap out of 2 people. Fantastic. So he's given 9.5. So with those scores, we get an average of 9.6. Do you concur, Scott?
Yeah.
So add that with my 10, perfect 10. Scott's 8.5, Shane's 6, and Martin's 9. We get an average of 8.6. 8.6. So let's see where that comes on the leaderboard, shall we? It doesn't matter now. Does it make the top 10? Yes, it does. Bye-bye, Batwoman. Oh, that's Shane's pick, isn't it? See you, Batwoman. Bye.
Oh, man.
I'm just joking. But like joint second, is that? With King of Spies and Batman Dark Knight Returns. I did mention Dark Knight Returns, and it is kind of joint with that. So let's see where the rest of the leaderboard, and that's where Batwoman is going to go. How does that make you feel, Shane? Does that make you feel okay?
Come on.
I'm only joking. Sorry.
I mean, like I say, if people enjoy this book, then that's absolutely fine. But for me personally, like I say, I loved issues 1 to 6.
Phil versus Shane in a charity boxing match. Come on, a charity wrestling match. But
I'm tiny.
I'm currently injured. I can't move. So yeah, you're good. Martin Scott's special referee. Yeah, I agree.
Special is the word.
Yeah, that has been Do a Powerbomb. We do have some other things coming up this week on the show. Shane, the Donna Comics or the Nerd Herd Donna Comics quiz time and night. It was Friday night, wasn't it?
Yes, Friday at 8. That will be premiering.
Friday 8 p.m. And let's see who is the champion from it. I unfortunately couldn't make it that night, so it's going to be somebody new, something fresh. There is no new video from Kevin this week in the draw along, but he's a massive back catalogue of great stuff to watch there. His recent one was the cartooning one from last week. Am I correct?
Yeah.
So go back and check out all the stuff he's done so far. It's great. And like I say, he's given us a 9.5. So I really like Kevin even more now because he loves great books. So I think that's it. Apart from one more. Should we get the guesses out before we show next week's video?
We've had one. Just play.
Guess.
Just go.
Okay. So Scott, take it away. What are you reading?
Yeah.
Did anyone guess?
People did guess right. Kevin and Liam guessed Flashpoint correctly. We're going to be reading Flashpoint. Cannot wait. It's going to be issues 1 to 5. We're not going to read the whole of the Flashpoint event, which is like 70 odd issues, even though I would love to do that again. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting into this. It was from 2011, and it's amazing, and I cannot wait. I feel like we've had a few heavy hitters, and I feel like this is going to be another contender for the top 10 next week.
Well, Liam's happy. Woohoo! Flashpoint.
Woohoo! So
So Kevin again, and Sam's asking next week's read. Do you need much context before you read it? Is there much you need?
I wouldn't say so. It does quite a good job at explaining what's going on
Nice.
in issue 1. Yeah.
And Andy is also looking forward to it. So,
I'm hoping top 5 from this.
I reckon top 5.
Is God in it? I mean, if God's in it, no chance.
Batman
Anyway.
is in it, though, so it will go down a few points.
Oh, but it's not the real Batman.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway.
It's a better Batman.
So that's been Do a Powerbomb. Thanks everyone for joining us. The chat's been great tonight. Thanks everyone for viewing. Check out our history of all the videos and reviews we've done in the past, all the other things we're doing. And I know Shane and Martin went live last night for your cover. What were you calling a cover gallery or what was it called? Showcase. Scott, Liam, and Martin have done things in gaming and things as well. I got my Omnibus show, so we're trying to do a lot more. So please like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and be the first one to watch whatever we bring out when it comes to it. So thanks very much. Just time now to get your waves out. Bye.
Bye. Bye, everyone. Love you.